What's going on? So it's Monday morning, and I'm on my way to a home inspection. But I got up early and I did a little bit of math. And what was interesting was I used artificial intelligence to look some stuff up, and I've started to learn how to use it properly without it telling me I can't do this or that. So the whole thing was this morning I was trying to figure out how many more people this planet would have if we didn't have that 1972 effect. And we all know that 1972 effect was the famous Roe and, of course, Wade, which was the curtailing process of the population. Well, that kind of spread worldwide, and for example, China, they had their little rules, and so I asked the artificial how many did we have since 1972 in America? Ready for this? 62 million. 62 million. Okay, 62 million, people that could have had, productive lives. Now wait, don't get me wrong, don't be turning this off yet. There's a good part of this, all right? And worldwide, you ready for this? 1.6 million. That's right, 1.6 million till 222, till today, since 1972. That doesn't include anything before that. So I'm thinking, all right, 1.6 million, and I'm trying to figure something out. So I realized that the reason they did it had nothing to do with women's rights. That was the false flag, and that was the perception. Women's rights, hey, they have the right to choose, and that was just to keep this thing going. The real reason all along had nothing to do with that, because what I did, and artificial intelligence calculated out that we would have, if we didn't do this, okay, and I'm going to give you some what we could have done instead, all right? We would have, and I'm not saying this is good, that's actually bad, all right? But if we didn't do this, the number came out to 162 million more in America. That's not without, this is a 50-year process, so I'm just figuring over 50 years, it's going to be more than that. But that would have bumped up the U.S. population to 60 million, okay? That's what we would have, almost 500 million people. Now, hang on. Worldwide, it was 2.5 billion. Okay. Now, if we add in that, after 25 years, it happens again, and we keep the people in there that were born. So we're going 2 generations. It would be 5 more billion. So we'd have 13 billion. So for the hell of it, I calculated how big is this planet, and if you took if we had all these people in the world, okay, and we're going to go to what we have today, 8 billion. Everybody can move in Texas. The whole world can move in the state of Texas. Now, they would be kind of cramped. They would have maybe like 30 square feet. Now, if we move them into the U.S., man, they're getting like almost a half an acre per person. The whole world moves into the United States of America, everybody gets a half an acre. Our house properties are like nothing. Our houses we live, we have 4 or 5 people living in smaller areas than that, okay? So everybody gets a half an acre. Now, if we move them if we spread everybody out across the entire planet, and everybody gets, ready for this, 6 acres of land. Everybody. So if you were married and had 2 kids, you guys would have a farm with 24 acres. Okay? The earth is not running out of land, by no means. Okay? Now, let's back it up. So let's say that these social engineers, they knew what they were doing. They knew the baby boomers, and after the wars, this was all going to happen, and the birth rates were going to go crazy. Now, birth rates, by the way, when I calculated this out, the birth rate I used was only a 3. So I made it that for every father and mom, they would reproduce 3 themselves and 1 extra. But the 1 extra is always going to be somebody that could die or whatever, okay? And so I used a 3. But in reality, birth rates back in 72 were like 5, 6, and 7s in some countries, okay? Even in Japan back then, the birth rate was a 2.3, okay? Now, Japan's it's pretty crazy, 1.25. They're gone. They're an extinct species because in 50 years, there's going to be nobody left in Japan, okay? I don't know what they're going to do about that problem. It's probably okay because they got 33 million one-ton bags of radioactive isotopes half-life, so who knows how many hundreds of thousands of years from that Fukushima cleanup, 33 million bags all over the place. So, you know what? It's going to be a radioactive dump zone 50 years from now. Guaranteed. They're going to move everybody out. Okay, we're not going there. That's a whole other video. So, back to what they could have done. So they could have said, instead of using vacuum cleaners, and then putting these things in the inner cities, because that's what they did. They put them in the inner cities, okay? They were trying to get the weak-minded and let them do the deeds. And unfortunately, then they gave the weak-minded all kind of flags and stuff to run around like they thought it was something. They're all bamboozled. And the women were bamboozled because it had nothing to do with women's rights. This had nothing to do with women's rights. That was the propaganda. That was the disassociation of the mind and the false perceptions to think, oh, yeah, it's my right. You know what? It had nothing to do with that. It was about we don't want 13 billion people in 2022. That's what it was about. It was always a population thing. But they could have done it differently. They could have done it think about this. I am a beekeeper, okay? And I got bees, and I got my own little farms, and I make my own food, and I can. I'm not a prepper. I'm not one of those crazy people. I don't have a bunker, okay? But I have beehives, and guess what? The bees grow, and they make a hive that's big. And they're like, oh, shit, some of you guys got to go. They make another queen. They take a bunch of bees. They go to a tree. They go around, find another place. They move. So that as the hive gets bigger, it gets split. Sometimes the hives split more. Sometimes they don't, and they just keep getting bigger and bigger and splitting. And then of course nature takes over, and there's the mice that kill the bees and that kind of thing. We had that recent pandemic, or some people call it a plandemic, whatever demic you want to call it. It's just social engineering and business as usual. And so they could have done things. They could have said, all right, here's the deal. You have to be worthy to be able to, produce, so you got to take a class. Number 2, hey, instead of spending millions and giving millions for stupid arms and bullets and all that stuff, they could have went and taught people practicing, proper contraception, and they could have made it so, you had to have a license to have a kid, and maybe, you had to pay taxes if you want to have an extra kid, and maybe you got to be worthy to have another kid, or guess what, instead of putting those machines in our inner cities that destroyed an entire half of a race, which these people don't even know that half their race has been destroyed from this. They're waving their little flags and throwing bricks at buildings. I'm telling you, man, they got them all bamboozled. They're all bamboozled. They have no clue. They have no clue whatsoever. And so they could have said, hey, wait a minute. They could have spun that around and said, you know what, you want some money? You want 50 grand? You got to go here under this little operation. We're going to take care of you, and you can live the way you want to live. And here's 50 grand. And guess what? That would be one way of doing it. The people that have money, guess what? They got to pay extra tax for everyone. So they would make them think about it. Okay, and then you got to take classes before you could have them. Okay, and so there's a lot of things they could have done and still kept it the same way. The population we have today, which is what they say 8 billion. Okay, so we could have still done it without doing all that. But anyways, so the bottom line is we can move everybody in America right now, in the entire world, and everybody has a ton of property. And if we split everybody up around the world, we got 6 acres apiece. So this thing, how many farts and how much carbon dioxide can you produce on 6 acres of land with 100 trees? You're a fart in the wind. Okay, you're a fart in the wind. And those 6 acres of land could grow your food. And the water you can get from dripping off of trees. Okay? This is all about control. The whole thing is about control. The whole Greta thing, now what they're doing, I don't know if you guys watched any of my older videos on Agenda 21, but that's what's going on. It's the Wildlands Project. Okay, the rewilding of America, rewilding of the world, and they're doing this in a lot of countries. And one they're going public on, and it's a test site in Britain, and they're calling it I don't know, 15-minute something or 15 mile. I don't know, anything within 15 minutes. So basically, what they're doing is they're packing people into a city. They're getting them a credit score. And if you like go around town, you can't go this way or that way. You got to go this way. You lose credit points, you know. And if you buy meat, the meat has a certain carbon dioxide number, and it goes on your credit score. But if you eat, let's say, bugs, bug burgers, because that's you think the bug burgers are accidental? You think the meat is the destruction of the cow and the pig and meat is accidental? You think that's got to do with kids in college that want to see chickens in small cages? Are you kidding me? It's all about rewilding. It's all about trampling the ground. It's all about making forests bigger. It's all about bringing carnivores back to the forest and giving them back to the animals. It's all about buffer zones where you can't go. You got to live in a certain area. If you live in Cleveland, where I live, in 50 years from now, I'm not going to eat bananas, because bananas got to come across the country in a diesel fuel. That ain't gonna happen. You think that diesel fuel, that's an accident? Man, this is all of it is normalizing, desensitizing. They're testing the waters, train wrecks. You think that's an accident? They have plumes. We have plumes every day all over the world, man. This little plume is nothing compared to some of the bigger plumes they're hiding from us. It's amazing. And so this rant this morning is about, I'm not sure, this whole world population CO2 thing. Hey, what's up? From Germany. Hey, what's up, man? Thank you for coming on. I don't get a lot of people because I'm just a nobody from Cleveland. But you know what? I do think outside the box. I don't watch the news. I've been telling people I shut my TV off 7 years ago. I did, but I really didn't. I mean, I still watch movies that I want to, like, for example, the movie I just watched was White Noise. And I didn't watch it because there was a train derailment in the town that one actually happened, and it was about a train. It had nothing to do with that. I like to look at movies to see what Hollywood's doing. You see, Hollywood has CIA living in there. You think they make up these stories? You think these are by accident, zombies and all that stuff? Man, it's all about desensitizing, all of it. That movie White Noise is about we're afraid to die. That's right. What's our news? I mean, right now they got some more shootings. We got balloons spying on us. Now they're saying, oh, UFOs. We shot down a UFO, right? We have chemicals. We have nuclear reactors. They're hiding the nuclear reactors from us is what they're doing, because those are the ones that are really an extinction event. That is an extinction event. I have videos on that. And so while we walk our dogs, and I'm not picking on you people with dogs. By the way, in 5 years, there'll be 230 million dogs if this keeps up in America, and we only have 300 million people. And I count the dog walkers in the morning. I mean, people don't have one dog anymore. They got 3 dogs. And there's nobody at the playgrounds, but there's more dog parks than there are playgrounds. Isn't that crazy? And so they're desensitizing us. They're changing us, our perception. Oh, back to that movie. And the whole movie was they're afraid to die, afraid of fear. The whole movie. And if you picked up on it, and they destroyed the masculine alpha male. They made parents worthless. They made the young millennials, the smart ones, because they're using computers. They're always looking facts up, and they're the ones that make critical thinking in this movie. And at the end, after everybody thought they're going to die, it's a very good movie. Everyone's going to turn off the TV during the credits, but there's 9 more minutes. And that is the best part of it, because that's the part where they're dancing in the store, in the grocery store, with all the name brands, all the commercialism. And they're dancing and singing, and they forgot about the whole world. Their fears are gone the minute they get into commercialism and they get into the government, into the food, forced food that we eat, and all the products that they sell us, and the name brands and the corporations. I mean, all owned by what? BlackRock and a few of those people. I mean, look at that. Look at everything in this. Everything you have on you, in your car, in your house. There's a corporation there, and there's directors of in that corporation that come from BlackRock and Berkshire Hathaway and some of those people, those corporations. You We are corporately owned, man. We are the working bees. We are the puppets. Well, actually, we're not even puppets. We're, I don't know, whatever's worse than a puppet. Because some of us don't even have enough strings to be a puppet. Anyways, so this is about Roe and that other one called Wade and how it would have been different, what they could have done differently. And yes, films control. They do. These kids watch this. You know, I go to these houses. I mean, even my kids. You know, the TV is as big as the wall. It's like, and I made a comment the other day. I was trying to watch something at my kid's house. My head was going like this, man. I swear, I got whiplash. They're so big, and they have everything. They have Netflix. They have YouTube TV, and they just do. And they watch the zombie movies, and you know they watch the news, and it's like they no longer can think for themselves. These kids, not just kids, the whole world. These people. I go do home inspections, and it's on a weekday, and there's like 6 people in the house, and they all got their own TVs. They're on their beds. A lot of times the mattresses are right on the floor next to their empty pizza boxes, and they're out. It's like 2 o'clock or 1 o'clock on Wednesday. No one's working. They're all watching TV and playing on their phones. It's amazing. It's amazing. We live in a prison planet. This is, I don't want to call it prison because I kind of like living. You know, I kind of like life. I kind of like USA. I kind of like my freedoms, even though we have a false perception of them. But anyways, hey, I want to thanks for coming on. This is my Monday morning. Population would have been different if Roe and that other guy, girl, whatever, Wade, didn't happen and they did something else. The world's big. We have lots of room. Thanks for coming on.